The 6 plus 2 talks were devised by Madeleine Albright and were a series of meetings between the 6 neighbors of Afghanistan, Iran included, Russia, and the U.S. These 6 plus 2 talks were the replacement for diplomacy between Iran and the U.S. in the 1990s. And these 6 plus 2 talks were used to coordinate efforts between the U.S. and Iran in order to fight terrorism and the Taliban's threat to safety. In these 6 plus 2 talks, Albright acknowledged shortcomings of the U.S. in the past when interfering with Iranian politics. These 6 plus 2 talks resulted in reduced sanctions and stronger diplomatic relationships, and these 6 plus 2 talks were and could be beneficial in fostering peace and cooperation between Iran and the rest of the world. The Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action is also known as the JCPOA. The JCPOA was signed by the P5+1 and the European Union and Iran in 2015. The Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, or JCPOA, gave Iran relief from sanctions in return for inhibiting their ability to create weapons of mass destruction. U.S. President Joe Biden has recently been discussing the possibility of the U.S. rejoining this agreement. Joining this agreement would help establish diplomatic relations with Iran, thus decreasing Iran's capabilities of providing these dangerous weapons to terrorist groups. It is important for the U.S. to use empathy, respect, and diplomacy when dealing with Iran. By being diplomatic with Iran, Iran is less likely to antagonize the U.S. and vice versa, and Iran will be more likely to respect the U.S. and be diplomatic and empathetic with the U.S. as a result of the U.S. being more empathetic and diplomatic and respectful to Iran. Positive reinforcement that reinforces fighting terrorism, such as that seen through the JCPOA, will help incentivize Iran to fight terrorism. This could be implemented via taking away sanctions if Iran does enough to fight terrorism, as well as giving them aid to help them fight terrorism. And this positive reinforcement would help encourage them to fight terrorism without leading them to antagonize us. The Taliban's takeover of Afghanistan means that Iran may be more likely to act a fight against the Taliban and decrease their influence, and this is because Iran may worry about the Taliban's threat to public safety as a result of their big influence.